Since we're talking about mom, we also have, on the UC application, we ask you guys for your parents or legal guardians' tax information for the last 2 years. And why we do that is we use that to determine fee waiver, if you qualify for a fee waiver, okay? So if you qualify, you automatically be waived for 4 UC schools. Get you in a sec. It's $70 per campus right now. So if you apply for all 9 campuses, you're paying $630 if you don't have a fee waiver. If you have a fee waiver, you're saving yourself $280. Okay?
Well, does it automatically go in after you put it in your tax information, or do you have to go use it after?
This is automatic. So the UC one is automatic. It'll automatically tell you once you get to a certain point that you qualify. If you guys get the College Board fee waivers, where you have 4 of them, I think, right? My advice to you is go ahead and fill this out first, and then see if you qualify or not. Don't use the College Board fee waivers for the UC unless you absolutely know for sure you're not going to qualify for the UC.
Okay, so after you put in all that, it just automatically tells you?
Yeah.
Okay, a key item. When you put the numbers in, Mr. Choi could probably correct me if necessary, and you don't get the waiver, you can't go back and change the numbers. See what I'm saying? If you put numbers in there, you know what? I got to go back and lower my income by $10,000. Okay? But once you submit it, I don't think you could put numbers back in.
Nope. It's a one-time thing.
So don't make a mistake when you put numbers in.
That's why you need to have your parents' tax information, okay? Or income information. It's really, really important. If you miss it, if you put 0, if you put some random number and it doesn't qualify, you're not going to qualify.
$2 million.
$2 million.
Any other questions about this? However, if you guys are on our free or reduced lunch plan, and you guys know who you are, if you are, and you put your numbers in and you don't qualify right away, there's an option for you to go ahead and still get a fee waiver, and I can tell you about that.
Great.
All right, so we kind of talked about the importance of accurate details. So in terms of personal information, academic history, exam scores, and also activities. One of the reasons that you do that is everything that you put in is self-reported. So if you put something in that turns out later not to be true, then the UC admissions offices at all the UCs tend not to be very happy with you. Okay? So if you guys have taken a class, either a foreign language or math class in middle school, you guys can put that on your UC application. We don't need your grades. The next part is you enter the high school that you go to. So you would go, in this case, you would enter Independence, and then when you go in try to put in your grades, all the classes that Independence offers, hold on just a second, will show up, okay? So you'll see your freshman English class, you should see your senior math class. If you don't see a class, then you can also add it there's an option to add a class. You had a question?
Yeah, for middle school, if you took foreign language that was after school, like an after school program or club, does that still count?
The question would be, did you start Independence in the second year of whatever that language class is? So, did you start as a freshman, in middle school, if you took a class, foreign language after school, when you started here at Independence, did you start in the second year of that language?
No.
Then you can't. I wouldn't do it. All right. So you're going to go ahead and enter all your information about Independence, how many years you've been here. If you got another high school before you got here, then you would also enter that school as well. Okay. Pretty simple. Any questions about that? So like I said, you're going to go ahead and enter all your grades. You're going to need a copy of either your grad inventory or an unofficial transcript. That way you don't make any mistakes. And you're going to go ahead and enter your grades that you got. So the letter grades from your 9th grade year all the way up to your 11th junior years. Okay. Any questions on that? No? That also counts for college classes that you've taken. So if you took any classes and any of the community colleges around here, you would also list those. And also if you've taken any classes at San Jose State or Cal State East Bay or Stanford or Santa Clara, you would list those as well. The last part of the academic history that you guys would need to put is what you guys are taking as a senior in. So you would either list it as in progress or planned. And it's really important, if you guys have listed something in spring semester as planned, that if you guys change your class schedule or you drop a class or whatnot, that you let the UC office, the admissions office at each UC you apply to know. Because we're expecting you guys to be taking whatever classes you guys listed in November. And in January, some of you guys change your minds. Any questions on that? Same thing with the test. So the next section is about tests. So ACT or SATs. We have you guys put the scores from the single test sitting. And you guys don't have to add up the test scores. It'll automatically add it up. And if you guys are planning to take a test, so if you're thinking about taking a test in December, you would just go ahead and say, I'm planning to take the test in December 2012. Any questions about this?
When we send in our test scores, do we send in, like, say for example, we took like 3 SATs, do we send in all of them, or do we send in like 5 of them?
So when you request that you send your test scores to any of the UCs, we get all your test scores. And then we take the highest test, usually the highest composite, because that'll be your highest score that you got, period. There's a question?
Oh, no, I had the same question, sorry.
Yeah.
If you send one score to a UC school, is it entered into the UC system, or do you need to send
Yes. So once you send a test score, once you say that you want to send a score to a UC, all the UCs will get them.
So is there any negative effects if we don't send it to a school that we're applying specifically?
Well, you have to be applying for the UCs, that UC to get it.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, if you send it to a UC system and then you apply for a UC that you didn't send it specifically to, is there any negative effects?
No, because we'll automatically get your test scores. Because for you to be eligible, you have to have taken the SAT or ACT. So if you haven't taken them, then we wouldn't be able to read your application.
What do you mean by composite?
Basically, when you add up for this one, if you add up the reading, writing, and math, whatever that composite, the total score is.
Your super score.
So it's
Yeah.
like, wait,
So like for
is
this
it
one?
like one sitting? Or-
Yeah, one sitting.
Oh, okay.
Is there a deadline to send the SATs?
There's no deadline. Usually, what you would want to do is if you're registering for the December test, next week is the deadline, but if you register for the December test and you haven't sent your test scores to any UC, you would want to send the test scores to one of the UCs at that point.
Would there be any penalty by taking like excessive amount of tests? So
Besides the financial costs that it costs you, technically, most seniors only take the test maybe twice. If you're taking the test 3 or 4 times, usually we'll see that you've taken it 3 or 4 times, and usually your test score is going to be about the same. It doesn't change. Same thing with if you've taken the subject test, we'll see all the subject tests that you've taken. So we'll pick the best scores. There's only one way that, we'll know what the best scores are because it's all added up. Any other questions about it? But my advice is it's too late for you guys to have taken the test, SAT, more than 3 times. Yeah.
So even, like, say you take an SAT in December, and you just send that after, like, you first send in the UC app, and then you just send it in spring week, for the
So-
December test.
Yeah, so you update your scores later.
Okay, cool.
But if you send it to one of the UCs, we'll have that information. All right, so one of the last sections on the UC application is activities, non-A through G coursework, awards, honors, So these sections are pretty much the same. We'll go talk about the volunteer community service section and extracurricular activities. You're going to have 5 spaces for you guys to enter information in there for 5 different activities. So you want to pick the activities that you guys have been involved with the longest. Okay. We want to see, UCs typically like to see things that you've have sustained activity in and you eventually taken on leadership. We'll ask you for how many years you guys have been involved, how many hours, and how many weeks.
So let's say I sporadically did 8 hours one week, but then for the next 2 months I didn't do anything. You just average that out.
Yeah, just average it.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Is there a space for the program?
Yeah, there's space for different pre-college programs that you can be involved in.
So you still put
Yeah, so there's like 4 different spaces. One's for work.
So like I volunteered for Walden West and I got 100 hours of community service. That would go into this too, right?
Yeah. Any other questions about activities? Like I said, you want to pick the activities that you've been involved with the longest. So if you've been involved with 6 activities, but one of them you just started as your in your senior year, you would probably want to leave that one out or put that in the additional comments if you need to. Okay? Yeah.
What if we want to sign, okay, so there's the Walden West program. So what if we want to go to Walden West and volunteer, let's say in February? But since college apps are due in November,
You can go ahead and put it in there.
like just say that we plan on doing it? Or
Huh?
like, so we can put that in even though we haven't
Yeah.
actually.
I mean, if it's something that you're gonna do, and you know for certain that you're gonna do it, then you can put it in there. Every once in a while, the UCs will actually go back, randomly select students' applications and check the activities or whatnot. So just keep that in mind. If you think you're gonna do it, then go ahead and put it in there. It's not gonna hurt you.
Only been in a club for 2 years, is it better not?
If you've been in a club for 2 years, that's perfect. If you've been in a club for 3 weeks, then you want to leave that alone.
What if you do like something during the summer? What grade would you put that under?
So, if you took a community college class or volunteer program, you would put it in the year that it was. So, if it was your 9th grade summer, then you could either put that in. You could put that in the 9th grade summer or 10th grade summer. The only thing that would be different would be your the things that you did this past summer, which would be your seniors. Technically, the summer between your senior and junior year, you would put that in, actually, never mind. You would put that in your junior year, or your senior year.
Yeah, beginning of senior.
Okay. Any questions besides that last point, is there any questions? All right, so how many of you guys have started your personal statement? If you guys haven't started, this is, I would say, the perfect time to get started. Start brainstorming about your personal statement. You have 2 prompts you have to write that go to all the UCs that you apply to. You have UC admissions readers view it as a way to interview you guys. Okay. So when you guys write it, you need to make sure that you're talking about yourselves, putting yourself in the personal prompt. A lot of times seniors will write about how their parents have come from someplace and sacrificed, or aunt and uncle have sacrificed for them to go to college, but we won't learn about you guys. So we need to learn about you guys. We need to know about you guys for your personal statements to be considered good, or a positive impact, to have a positive impact on your application. Because if we don't learn about you guys, then we consider it neutral, and neutral doesn't really do anything for you guys. So these are the personal prompts. The first one is describe your world, the world you came from, for example, your family, community, or school. Tell us how your world has shaped your dreams and aspirations. Statement number 2 is tell us about a personal quality, talent, accomplishment, contribution, or experience that's important to you. And what about this quality or accomplishment makes you proud, and how does it relate to the person who you are? one of the things that you want to do when you're writing these personal prompts is you want to answer all those prompts. And for the UCs, we don't care if you talk about your family, school, or community. We wanted you guys to talk about one of them, either your family, school, or community, not all three. Okay? And what's really important for you guys is to talk about how your world has shaped your dreams, your aspirations, and in the second prompt, what makes you proud about that experience, talent, quality, whatever it is, and how that relates to who you are. Okay? Most seniors applying to UCs can tell us about the world and can tell us about an accomplishment or trait or quality, but they have problems talking about the second parts of the prompt. You also have the additional comments where you have 550 words, and that's what you can put in anything you haven't talked about in your UC application already. So it can't be a continuation of your personal statements. You can't say, oh, I ran out of room, here's but it can be you telling us about an activity that you did, or that you might be volunteering for Walden West in February. Okay? The other thing that I highly suggest you guys think about doing is using that additional comment space. You have two. You have one for academics and one for anything else. Okay? Almost everybody in this room has been affected academically by the budget cuts that Eastside has gone through. So if it's that you didn't have a library, or you can't see a counselor because your counselors are responsible for 12,000 students, you want to tell us that. Anything that happens to you guys that you guys probably take for granted is important to UC Reader, because we don't know what happens at Independence on a daily basis. We know what we're told by the UC Office of the President and also by the school in terms of what classes they offer. But that's all we know. Okay? It's your job to tell us everything else that you guys experience.
Right. So for my second statement, I'm writing about like my experience at a camp, like a military boot camp. Would I have to explain what the military boot camp was really about, or because I'm just really gonna explain how I'm a person after the experience.
My piece of advice would be pick something that you're proud of during that experience, and then talk about that. And then you can also give a short description of whatever it was.
Yeah.
Could you talk about personal quality and related to like multiple experiences? Is that okay? Like if the main focus is on the quality?
Yeah, I mean, my advice would be, it's hard to talk about equality and to find something how it relates to who you are and why you're proud of it. My advice would be find an experience and then try to relate that to what you learned from that. So I typically tell seniors not to write about qualities, but you can.
With the additional comments, would you recommend using that to kind of like justify an experience, like you're saying, like how school resources or why you got a bad grade? Or would you recommend using it to like tell more about your personality or an experience that proves you're ready for college?
I would say you want to tell us about you would want to tell us about your setting, your context. So we don't want to know why you're ready for college. We would want to know what the settings that you're, like your context or your situation here at Independence or in the community. Because we don't need to know that you're ready for college, because we know that you're ready already, because you're applying to UC. And the other thing about the additional comments is you don't need to use, it can be just bullet points. It doesn't have to be a whole paragraph. All right, so the next step of the application is you guys have to submit it. It sounds funny, but there's a lot of students out there that forget to submit their applications or don't keep record that they submitted their application. One of the things that happens is the UC system typically gets slow, and some UC applications might get lost here and there. So when you submit your UC application, there's a confirmation page that pops up. You want to go ahead and print that out. That'll have your app ID, your UC app ID on there. If anything happens where, UC Berkeley doesn't get your application for some reason, you can call the Office of the President or UC Berkeley and say, hey, I paid my money or I got my fee waiver, and here's my app ID number that says I applied for UC Berkeley, but it never showed up on your system. Okay? So it's really important that you keep your app ID number or a confirmation page number. The system will also look at your A through G requirements, so if you haven't met the requirements, it'll tell you. And the last piece of the application is you can go back and update your information after November 30th. Once you submit your application, you can't change anything. Okay? You can't change your personal statement, you can't change your grades, you can't change your activities. So before you submit your application, you want to make sure it's exactly how you want it to be. Okay? Any questions on that? Lastly, you want to go ahead and write that number down or email down the UC Application Center. They are the people that you're going to want to get in contact with if you have problems with the UC application. And their response time is typically really, really good right now. Okay? If you wait until November 30th at 10 o'clock to send them an email, they're not going to respond to you before you have to submit your application. Do you guys have any questions?
Putting it on video.
I have it on my camera.
That's right. Unless I do.
Too late. I already recorded like 20 seconds ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For the CSU Tuesday, when I asked them about AP chemistry or AP biology, because that independence is offered in 2 periods, which is like a lecture period and a lab period. When you put in the information for AP chemistry inside the UC application, is there an option for both lab and the other course, or is it just one whole course?
You know, I'm not sure. I know
There's no lab.
there.
On the UC website where they list Independence High School, the AP labs are not listed. Okay, so you cannot put it onto the form. Only the lecture part. The lab part is not listed by the UCs or CSUs.
If you think that the other option that you have, if you want to put it there, it's not going to hurt you or help you, is there's additional, you can add classes that weren't listed there. So you could put it there. Like I said, it may or may not help you or hurt you.
To clarify on the previous question, so for the ICT scores, when they give you the 4 free places to send to, you can just send to one UC and
Yep.
Okay, so I was putting in my grades for the UC application, and then it asked for my freshman, sophomore, and then it jumps to senior. I don't know if that's what it's like.
Did you check? You might want to go back and check, see if you checked the junior year, your junior year.
Oh, okay.
If not, I would say call the system. That's a good question. So you guys are not submitting anything to any UC unless we ask for it. So once you get admitted to a UC, in June we ask you for your transcripts. So you need to get transcripts from from Independence and any community college that you've gone to or college that you've gone to. Yeah. Yeah. If you're independent study. You will actually, you're the one that's going to actually send it. Because by the time we ask for grades, and you guys are out of school.
But I would highly recommend all of you, when May comes, you think about graduation, and as soon as you graduate, you sprint and run and become crazy. Okay? I always tell mine in C-Bill, and I'm talking to all of you, you have to go down to the H building and fill up a transcript request form. I highly recommend you do the first week of May and put down final transcript, and then you're done. Then in June, we send them out. And you don't need to worry about it. You don't want to wait till after graduation. So I highly recommend the first week of May, you go down to the H building, the registrar, fill out the form, transcript request form, school address and all that, whether it's Berkeley, Davis, or San Jose State. And then when the school year is over, on June 1st, we send them all at one time. So you don't need to worry about that. Okay? So I highly recommend that you do ahead of time, because once May comes and graduation's here, you know, you're going to forget. We've had students who did not send their transcripts. One was at UC Santa Cruz, and their admission got denied because the transcript never got there. Right? So I would recommend the first week of May, do that, and you will never have to worry about it again. Question?
You said you did that at the H building?
Yes, at the H